Hello everyone, good day. Our lesson for today is Chapter 5, Lesson 2, and entitled Plain Storytelling. And I am your reporter for today, Fresel B. Sumayo. Story. What is the meaning of story? Stories are one man's chief means of communication. Stories are for telling by everyone with experience to share with those who have ears to hear. The teller or listener create the story. In the early days, the story was a simple account of the events that took place during the day. Later on, man learned to express his own feelings, what he observed around him, the behavior of others, his dreams, his beliefs to other people. Telling stories was sharing experiences, real or imaginary. Story definition is an account of imaginary or real people and events told for entertainment. Another is it is an account of past events in someone's life or in the evolution of something or something. That's the definition and meaning of the story. Next is storytelling. Storytelling, before printing began, it became the chief means of recording and transmitting events that took place as well as ideas to be shared. These days, children are exposed to different forms of communication media like the cinema, television, radio, telephone, and computer. But the storyteller is still an indispensable agent of socialization. Storytelling, like singing, is an art that be cultivated. It is a creative art. Storytelling is one of the most valuable activities in school at home. Parents can begin to take their children from 6 to 18 months on their laps and read or tell stories to them. This will lead children to take books on their own, look at the pictures, and talk about the pictures. And another definition of storytelling is that it is the interactive art of using words and actions to reveal the elements and images of a story while encouraging the listener's imagination. That is the meaning of storytelling. Next, values of storytelling. We have here 7 values of storytelling. The first one is it introduces children to the world of written language. They hear new words and varied languages, structures from which they can model their own language. It gives children an opportunity to become acquainted with the best of children's literature. It increases a child's knowledge and experiences. It increases in children a desire to know about the lives of other people and know their culture. Number 5, it develops the ability to be good listeners and it stirs their imagination and become creative. Number 6, it gives pleasure and enjoyment to children. Number 7, when telling a story himself, the child learns to organize and express himself clearly. At the same time, building confidence in his ability to face an audience. That's the values of storytelling. The next one is the advantages of storytelling. Reading and telling stories introduces children to the world of literature. But the storytelling has more advantage than reading. Storytelling is more direct than reading. Why? Because there is no book between the storyteller and his listeners. So the storyteller has the advantage of keeping close to the audience. It establishes rapport between storyteller and listener since there is direct eye contact. The storyteller can observe the listener's reaction and confusions. Next is a long piece of literature can be shortened so that children can hear the whole story in one sitting. Stories that don't require the exact words of the author can be told in simple words that can be understood by the listeners. That's the advantage of storytelling. The next one is the qualities of stories suitable for narrating. Number one, it should be it should have simple, well-rounded plots. Stories suitable for telling should have simple, well-rounded plots. There should be a strong beginning, a middle, and satisfying conclusion. There should be an underlying theme. The characters should be few and they must be true to what they are supposed to be, whatever they are real or imaginary, and with whom children can identify. The background of the story must be authentic in places in time, in this world or in an imaginary world. There should be conversation, catchphrases, repetition of words or phrases, rhyming words, and colorful language. The story should be imaginative, adventurous, and rich in details. The folk tales are for telling. Sometimes a story has to be rewritten or shortened in order to make them suitable for the particular audience. The next one is the qualities of a good storyteller. A good storyteller must know how to select a good story to tell. He must enjoy the story himself and must want to share it with children. He must know the story so well that there is no possibility of forgetting. He must be as natural in expressing himself and look at his listeners to see the reaction to the story he is relating. The next one is the storyteller must have imagination, insight, spontaneity, and concentration. Because he or she must live the story as he tells it directly and sincerely, with freedom and ease. The storyteller must have a natural way of expressing himself. Because whatever movements or gestures are used, they must be the teller's natural way of expressing himself, must be characteristic of the story, and must fit the audience. Now, another is the choice of words. Facility with words is not only a valuable asset, it is a necessity. The choice of words must be appropriate to the nature of the story and fit the listeners for whom it is intended. No prop, no books, no pictures are needed. While the storytelling is going on. Because this may create confusion for the children. Because children may look at pictures or illustrations before telling of the story, but not at the moment of listening to the story. The storyteller be must not be overdressed with a lot of adornments on her or him, which can distract the listener's attention. The storyteller must rely wholly on his pleasant voice. The storyteller should speak clearly and in a well modulated voice. He must not string sentences with and, so, and The storyteller should either stand or sit still but not pace up and pace down. The storyteller should avoid using moralizing stories with strong preaching overtones. He should analyze the story that has been told. If the children are interested, they must ask questions and discussion may take place in a natural way. Children should not be required to retell the story or to react to a story. Children may write about the story they have enjoyed or interpret it in painting or drawing or to act it out. And now we will go in steps in storytelling. Number one, selection of a story to tell. The story must have a good plot, a well defined conflict, a good beginning, middle, and ending. The choice of a story should also be governed by its appeal to the storyteller. That's the first step in storytelling. Second step, preparation of the story. After a choice of the story has been made, try to find out why you like the story. Is it the plot? Is it about the animals? Is it about or it is an adventure story? Is the story humorous or nonsensical? Read the story over and over and then close the book. See if you can tell the sequence of the story in the proper order. Try to imagine the setting and the scenes of the story so that you will be able to tell the story as though it has happened to you. Next step is practice telling story aloud to yourself. Take note of the proper pauses, the places of suspense, the climax. Refer to the book when you forget. Go through the story once or twice until you have truly mastered it. Do not memorize the story word for word. Mastery of the story is important. The beginning of the story establishes the mood of your story. Practice telling the whole story without any lapses. That's the step number 3. Step number 4. Announce your story informally in many ways. For example, today we are going to hear about our old friends, the three little pigs. Another, I have a new story for you today and it is called The Monkey and the Turtle. Another example. You have all heard stories about Jack and the Beanstalk. Do you know that there is a little girl and her name is Molly Whoopie? Another example is show pictures of certain characters in the story you are going to tell. Describe each of the characters, then you can say, would you like to know more about them? That's the that's how you announce your story informally in many ways. The next step is the step number 5. At the end of the storytelling, do not give any check-up questions or tests. Do not ask the children if they like the story or not. They may not like the story at all because of the way it was told, so it may be embarrassing. Last step is the step number 6. Children may draw pictures or illustrations of the characters they like best, or they may dramatize the story later on. And one thing to remember in storytelling is that storytelling gives pleasure and enjoyment to children. Nearly all the stories that belong to what we call folk literature are good for storytelling. Nursery and fairy tales, myths, legends, hero tales, and stories from the Bible are suitable for telling. There is a wide range of stories to choose from, and a good storyteller must store up a reservoir of stories for the story hour period in the classroom, for special holidays or events, for correlating other subject areas. And that's all my report for today. Thank you for listening. And again, I am your reporter for today, Fresel Bisumayo of BSED 2. Thank you.